Aaron sat inside the small explorer ship, staring at the glowing planet ahead of him. He had traveled for weeks across deep space, following the command of the Earth exploration fleet. This mission was not about war or conquest. It was about peace and discovery. His job was simple: land on new worlds, study the environment, and report back to Earth. Yet as he looked at the strange planet, something inside him told him this mission would not be simple at all. The planet was covered with shining colors. From orbit, Aaron could see tall crystal-like towers rising from the ground, glowing as if they were alive. Rivers of blue light flowed between them like veins of energy. The sight was so beautiful that Aaron forgot to breathe for a moment. He had seen many planets in his career, but nothing like this one. His ship entered the atmosphere smoothly, guided by signals coming from the surface. This surprised him. Usually, uncharted planets had no technology advanced enough to guide a ship. But here, someone or something wanted him to land safely. Aaron tightened his grip on the controls as the ship descended. A wide landing field opened ahead, marked by glowing stones arranged in patterns. The explorer ship touched down with a soft thud. Aaron checked his gear quickly. He wore a light suit for breathing and protection, though the scanners showed the air outside was safe. His heart pounded. Every first step on a new world carried risk, but it also carried hope. Slowly, the ship door opened, and he stepped outside. The air was cool and fresh, filled with a faint fragrance that reminded him of flowers back on Earth. The ground shimmered under his boots as though tiny crystals were mixed with the soil. Before he could take in more details, a group appeared in front of him. They were tall figures, graceful in movement, with luminous eyes that reflected the colors of the towers. Their clothing looked like woven light, glowing faintly with each step. Aaron stood still, not reaching for any weapon. His mission was peace. He raised his hand in greeting, waiting to see how they would react. Then the crowd parted, and she appeared. The queen of this world walked toward him with slow, elegant steps. Her presence was commanding yet gentle, as though the very air bent around her. She was taller than Aaron, her skin carrying a faint glow, and her eyes shining like two stars. But what caught Aaron's attention most was the sudden change in her expression when she looked at him. Her glowing face shifted to a softer color, almost like a blush. Aaron froze, unsure what this meant. On Earth, a blush showed shyness, warmth, or emotion. Could it mean the same here? The queen paused only a moment, then smiled warmly at him. The sight was enough to calm his beating heart. "You are human," she said in a voice that carried both music and strength. Aaron was startled that she spoke in his language. "Yes," he replied carefully. "I am Aaron. I come in peace." The queen's people whispered among themselves. Their glowing eyes fixed on him as though they had seen a ghost or a legend. The queen raised her hand, silencing them. She stepped closer to Aaron, her expression still soft, her color still glowing faintly as if she could not hide her feelings. "We thought humans were only stories from the stars," she said. "And yet, here you stand before me." Aaron felt a wave of confusion. How could they know of humans? Earth had never visited the system before. But there was no hostility in her tone. Instead, her voice was filled with wonder. She extended her hand toward him, a gesture of welcome. Aaron hesitated only a moment before placing his hand against hers. Her skin was warm, almost alive with energy. The crowd gasped quietly at the sight, and Aaron realized this moment was not ordinary. To them, it was something great, perhaps even sacred. "You are welcome here," the queen said warmly. Come with me, human Aaron. You are not a stranger in this land. Aaron followed her as the people bowed their heads respectfully. The queen walked at his side, her steps graceful yet filled with purpose. Aaron could not understand why she showed him such kindness so quickly, but he knew one thing with certainty. This meeting was no accident. His arrival meant something to her people. As they walked toward the towering palace made of crystal light, Aaron looked at the queen again. Her face still carried that faint blush, glowing softly whenever her eyes met his. He could not explain it, but he felt it deep inside. This was the beginning of something far greater than exploration. This was the start of a bond between two worlds. Aaron walked beside the queen through a wide path lined with crystal pillars that glowed like lanterns in the night. The city was alive with colors that shifted gently, like the rhythm of a heartbeat. The people stood on both sides, watching him with curiosity and whispers. Some looked surprised, others looked joyful, but none showed anger. Aaron could not shake the feeling that his arrival carried meaning far greater than he understood. The queen moved with elegance, her robe flowing like liquid light. Every step she took made the ground beneath shimmer faintly. Aaron glanced at her, noticing once more the faint blush on her glowing face. He wondered if it was truly the same as a human blush or if it meant something different for her people. Yet the warmth in her eyes told him he was welcome. The palace rose before them, built from crystal towers that seemed to sing softly as the wind passed through them. The structure shimmered like a living thing, shifting colors from gold to silver to blue. The queen raised her hand and the great doors opened silently. Aaron followed her inside, and his breath caught at the sight. The hall was vast, its ceiling high above, decorated with glowing patterns that moved like constellations. Long tables carved from crystal stretched across the room, filled with fruits that glowed like stars and cups of shining liquid. Musicians played soft notes on instruments that seemed half-living, filling the air with peaceful harmony. The queen turned to him and said gently, "This is my home. And tonight, it is also your home. You have traveled far across the stars, and you will not sit as a stranger here." Aaron bowed his head slightly in respect. "I am honored, Queen. Your world is beyond anything I have ever seen." Her eyes softened, and her faint blush deepened as she led him toward the grand table. The people of her court had already gathered, tall figures with glowing eyes and shimmering robes. They watched Aaron closely, their whispers filling the air like a quiet storm. Yet no one spoke against him. They waited, curious to see what their queen would do. With a graceful motion, the queen raised her hand, and the hall fell silent. "People of the crystal realm," she said, her voice strong yet filled with warmth. "Tonight, we welcome a guest from the stars. A human, of whom we have only heard in the oldest stories. Let us greet him with honor." The hall filled with soft cheers and applause. Aaron felt the weight of every eye on him, but instead of fear, he felt a rising sense of belonging. He nodded politely to them all, and the queen gestured for him to sit beside her at the head of the table. Servants brought dishes of glowing fruits and crystal cups filled with liquid that shimmered like morning dew. Aaron tasted one of the fruits cautiously. It was sweet, with a flavor unlike anything from earth, and it filled him with a strange warmth. The queen watched him with a small smile. "Do you like it?" she asked. "It is wonderful," Aaron admitted. "Your world is full of life and beauty." Her expression softened, and once more, her face carried that faint blush. She seemed pleased by his words, though Aaron did not yet understand why. As the feast continued, the queen leaned closer and began to ask about his home. "Tell me of your world, Aaron. What is Earth like?" Aaron paused, thinking of how best to explain. He spoke of blue oceans stretching farther than sight, of forests filled with tall trees, of deserts glowing under the sun, and of snowy mountains touching the clouds. He described how humans struggled but survived, building cities, creating art, and always reaching for the stars. The queen listened closely, her luminous eyes never leaving him. Her people too leaned forward, fascinated by every word. When he finished, a gentle silence filled the hall. Then the queen spoke softly, her voice carrying both awe and hope. You humans are strong. You endure storms, hunger, and hardship, yet you rise again. Our people have dreamed of such strength. Long ago, we were told that one day a traveler would come from beyond the stars, carrying with him the spirit of survival. Many thought it only a myth. But tonight, that myth has walked into my palace. The people murmured, their voices filled with wonder. Aaron felt a weight in his chest. He had come only as an explorer, but here, he was being seen as something far greater. He looked at the queen, seeing the sincerity in her glowing face, and realized she truly believed in his importance. The queen lifted her cup and spoke loudly so all could hear. To Aaron, the traveler from the stars. May his steps bring light to our land. The hall echoed with cheers as everyone raised their cups. Aaron lifted his own, though he still felt uncertain. He was only a man, a single explorer, yet in their eyes, he was something more. As the feast continued, laughter filled the hall, and music grew stronger. The people danced gracefully, their robes glowing like moving lights. The queen remained near Aaron, speaking with him quietly. Each time her eyes met his, the faint blush returned, though she tried to hide it. When the night grew late, she stood and said softly, "Tomorrow, I will show you more of my world. There are things you must see, things that explain why your arrival is so important." Aaron nodded, curiosity and unease mixing within him. He had come for discovery, but now he felt caught in something larger than exploration. As the queen looked at him one last time before leaving the hall, her blush glowed softly, and Aaron realized this was not just a welcome. It was the beginning of a bond he could not yet understand. The night after the feast, Aaron was given a room inside the palace. It was unlike anything he had ever seen. The walls were alive with faint light, shifting like gentle waves across the ocean. A bed carved from smooth crystal rested in the center, soft cushions placed upon it. Outside the window, the city glowed in colors that danced under the stars. Aaron lay awake for a long time, thinking about everything that had happened. The queen's kindness surprised him. Her people had shown no fear, no anger, only curiosity and respect. He thought about the prophecy she mentioned, the belief that one day a human would come. Was he truly the one they had been waiting for, or was this all a misunderstanding? At sunrise, the palace filled with soft music as the city awakened. Aaron was invited to join the queen in the garden. He followed her through archways covered with glowing vines and entered a space filled with beauty. Trees grew tall with leaves that shone like silver. Flowers released a fragrance so sweet that the air itself seemed alive. Streams of light blue water flowed gently, feeding crystal fountains. The queen stood waiting near one of the fountains. She smiled when she saw him, her eyes glowing warmly, and once again, that faint blush appeared across her luminous face. "Good morning, Aaron," she said softly. "I hope you rested well." "I did," Aaron replied. "Your world is peaceful. It feels alive in every corner." The queen gestured for him to sit beside her on a stone bench. Servants brought bowls of fruit and cups of sparkling water before quietly leaving. For a moment, there was silence, broken only by the gentle sound of the flowing fountain. "Last night, you spoke of your world," the queen said. "The oceans, the forests, the mountains. Tell me more. What is life like for your people?" Aaron thought for a moment before speaking. "Life on Earth is full of struggle, but also full of hope. We face storms, hunger, sickness, even wars. Yet humans do not give up. We build homes, we plant fields, we sail across seas, and we reach for the stars. Every generation dreams of going farther than the last. That is why I am here. To see if we are truly alone, or if there are others, like you." The queen listened closely, her eyes never leaving him. The faint glow of her blush deepened, though she tried to remain calm. "Your people sound strong," she said. "Strength not of weapons, but of spirit. That is rare." Aaron nodded. "And what of your people? You have shown me kindness and beauty. But you spoke of struggles in your history. What happened here?" The queen lowered her gaze for a moment, as though remembering something painful. Then she began to speak. "Long ago, my people were divided. We had many kingdoms, and each fought for power. Wars turned our skies dark, and much was lost. In the end, my ancestors united the land and built the city. Since then, we have lived in peace, but we carry the scars of our past. We fear that if our unity breaks, darkness will return." Aaron listened carefully. "And the prophecy?" he asked gently. Her eyes met his again. "Yes, the prophecy. It says a traveler from beyond the stars would come when our people stood at a crossroads. This traveler would remind us of strength, hope, and courage. Many believed it was only a story to comfort children. But when I saw you, Aaron, I felt something. A warmth I cannot explain." Her blush grew stronger, and she turned her face slightly, as though embarrassed. Aaron felt his heart beat faster, though he did not know why. "I am only a man," Aaron said softly. "I did not come to be part of a prophecy. I came to learn, to explore." "And yet you are here," she replied gently. "Sometimes destiny does not ask permission. It simply arrives." For a while, they sat in silence. The garden glowed with morning light, and the sound of water calmed them both. Aaron thought about her words. He had always believed in reason and science, but now he was facing something he could not explain. After some time, the queen asked, "Do humans dream of peace? Or only of power?" Aaron looked into her glowing eyes and answered truthfully. "We dream of both. Some seek power, and that brings pain. But many dream of peace, of building something better. I believe that is why I am here. To show that humans are not just fighters, but also friends." The queen smiled softly, her face glowing warmer. "That is what I wished to hear. Perhaps your coming is not a burden, but a gift." They continued to share stories. Aaron spoke of music, of how humans played instruments and sang songs that carried across generations. The queen told him of her people's dances, where lights flowed from their steps and filled the air with patterns like living art. Aaron spoke of Earth's history of struggle, and the queen told him of the endless patience of her ancestors who rebuilt after war. By the time the sun rose high, Aaron felt as if they had known each other for years. The gap between human and alien no longer felt wide. Instead, it felt like a bridge was forming, built by words, respect, and curiosity. At last, the queen stood and said, "Tonight, I will show you something hidden from most of my people. It is in the archives beneath the palace." There, you may learn why your arrival matters so much. Aaron nodded, both eager and uneasy. He felt the weight of her trust and the growing warmth between them. As she turned to lead him back inside, her face still carried that soft blush, and Aaron wondered if perhaps their stories were not just shared across worlds, but now becoming one story together. The sun was setting when Aaron followed the queen into the lower halls of the palace. The bright light of the city above faded into dim crystal corridors, lit only by faint glowing patterns along the walls. The air was cooler here, heavy with the weight of history. The queen walked ahead with steady steps, her robe trailing softly behind her, her glow faint but steady. "This place is the heart of our kingdom," she said gently. "Few are allowed here, but I wish for you to see it." Aaron nodded, his curiosity growing. He had been to many worlds, but none had ever welcomed him into such sacred places. The deeper they went, the quieter it became, until the sound of their footsteps was the only thing that filled the air. Finally, the queen stopped before a great circular door. Symbols glowed across its surface, forming patterns that shifted like stars. She placed her hand upon it, and slowly the door opened with a deep hum. Beyond it lay a vast chamber filled with crystal shelves, glowing scrolls, and stone carvings. "This is our archive," she explained. "Here we keep the stories of our people. And here lies the prophecy I spoke of." She led Aaron to a tall stone tablet at the center. The carvings were old, the symbols faint but still shining with a weak light. Aaron studied them carefully, though he could not understand their language. The queen touched the tablet and began to translate. "It says, when the stars fall silent and our path grows dark, a traveler will come. He will walk not as conqueror but as friend. His steps will remind us of courage, and his voice will guide us to hope." Aaron felt a shiver run down his spine. He was not sure if he believed in destiny, but the words struck him deeply. He looked at the queen, whose eyes glowed softly as she read. "Do you truly believe this is about me?" Aaron asked carefully. The queen's blush returned faintly, though her voice remained calm. "I do. The moment I saw you, I felt it. Perhaps my heart recognized what my mind could not." Aaron lowered his gaze. "I am only one man. I don't know if I can carry such meaning." "You do not need to carry it alone," she replied softly. "We walk together now." Before Aaron could answer, the sound of footsteps echoed through the chamber. The queen turned sharply, her glow flickering with unease. From the shadows stepped several tall figures in dark robes, their eyes glowing coldly. "Nobles," the queen whispered under her breath. One of them stepped forward, his expression stern. "My queen, why do you bring this outsider into the sacred archives? He does not belong here." The queen lifted her chin proudly. "He is not an outsider. He is part of our future." The noble's voice grew sharper. "You let stories blind you. This human is dangerous. He may smile now, but what will he bring tomorrow? War. Disease. Division. We must protect our people." Aaron stayed silent, but his chest tightened. He could feel the hostility in their voices. The queen spoke firmly. "You fear what you do not understand. I see not danger, but hope. I will not cast him out." Another noble stepped forward. "And what if your judgment is clouded? What if this human has already taken hold of your heart? Will you risk the safety of all for one man?" The queen's blush deepened, and her glow flickered as though the words had struck her. Aaron felt her silence, and he knew the nobles had noticed it too. The first noble pointed toward Aaron. "He is a threat. Already the people whisper of him. They wonder why their queen shows warmth to a stranger more than to her own council. If he stays, division will rise again. We cannot allow it. Aaron finally spoke, his voice steady though his heart raced. I came in peace. I do not wish to cause harm or division. If my presence brings danger to your people, I will leave. The queen turned to him quickly, her eyes wide. No, she said firmly. You will not leave. This is your place now. She faced the nobles again. I am queen, and my word is law. Aaron stays. The nobles bowed stiffly, but their eyes glowed with anger. As you command, my queen, the leader said coldly. But remember this choice when shadows rise again. They turned and left, their footsteps fading into the distance. Silence returned to the chamber, heavy and tense. Aaron looked at the queen. They will not stop. I can see it in their eyes. They will work against me. The queen sighed softly, her glow dim for a moment. Yes. There are those who fear change, who fear the bond we share. They will try to turn the people against you. But I will not let them succeed. She looked at him, her blush faint but steady. Do not doubt yourself, Aaron. You may not believe in destiny, but I believe in you. For a long moment, they stood in silence before the ancient tablet. Aaron felt the weight of what had just happened. The queen's nobles saw him as a danger. His very presence threatened the balance of this world. Yet beside him stood the queen, unwavering in her trust. In that moment, Aaron realized that this was no longer just a journey of discovery. It was the beginning of a struggle, one that would test not only his courage but the bond he had begun to build with the queen. And somewhere in the shadows of the palace, whispers of betrayal were already beginning to grow. The queen's words echoed in Aaron's mind long after the nobles left the archives. She believed in him, but her council clearly did not. Aaron knew their suspicion would not vanish easily. He had traveled through many worlds and seen how fear could turn allies into enemies. Here, in this shining city, that same fear was already taking root. The next morning, the palace buzzed with strange tension. Servants whispered in corners, guards glanced at Aaron with uncertain eyes, and the nobles moved like shadows, their faces cold and unreadable. The warmth of the feast seemed far away now. Aaron felt like a guest no longer celebrated, but judged. The queen remained calm on the surface, but Aaron noticed the faint worry behind her glowing eyes. She spent more time at his side, as though to shield him from unfriendly stares. Yet her presence could not silence the growing whispers in the palace halls. Later that day, the queen called for a gathering in the grand court. The nobles stood in a semicircle, their robes glowing faintly, their expressions sharp. The people filled the hall beyond, curious to see what new matter their queen would address. Aaron stood beside her, his chest tight. The head noble stepped forward. My queen, we bring troubling news. An attack struck the western tower last night. The guards found traces of human technology near the site. Surely this is no accident. The hall filled with gasps. Eyes turned to Aaron, suspicion heavy in their gaze. Aaron's heart pounded. He had not left the palace, his equipment remained locked in his ship. But he knew this was the trap the nobles had set. The queen raised her hand for silence. Do you accuse Aaron without proof? She asked firmly. The noble bowed slightly but spoke with sharpness. We do not accuse. We present evidence. If he is truly innocent, let him prove it. The people murmured, their voices rising like a storm. Aaron stepped forward, his voice steady though his pulse raced. I have nothing to hide. Search my ship, search my room, search me. You will find nothing. But if this world has been attacked, then let me help find the truth. The queen looked at him with pride, her blush faint but visible. She turned to the nobles. You will have your trial of trust. Aaron will prove his innocence not with words but with action. That night, the queen and Aaron went to the western tower together. Guards followed, their eyes sharp, but Aaron ignored their suspicion. The tower's base was damaged, scorched by some kind of energy blast. Fragments of strange devices lay scattered on the ground. Aaron crouched and studied them carefully. This is not human, he said at once. These pieces are too advanced. They use energy fields I have never seen before. Whoever planted them wanted it to look like my work, but it is not. The queen knelt beside him, her glow faint in the dark. Then who would do this? Aaron looked at the guards surrounding them. Someone who wants me gone. Someone who fears the bond between us. The queen's lips tightened, and her glow flickered with anger. The nobles, she whispered. Aaron nodded slowly. But if we accuse them without proof, the people will doubt us. We need to show the truth in the open. The next day, the queen summoned the council once more. The damaged devices were brought into the hall, placed on display before the nobles and the people. The queen spoke clearly. Here is the weapon that struck the western tower. Aaron has studied it. He says it is not human technology. The nobles shifted uneasily. The head noble sneered. Of course he would say that. He wishes to protect himself. Aaron stepped forward. Then let me show you. He pressed one of the fragments against his suit, activating his ship's scanner. The readings appeared on the wall behind him, projected in glowing letters. This energy signature does not match Earth technology. It is native to the system. It comes from a tribe beyond your borders. The crowd gasped, whispering in alarm. The queen's eyes narrowed. You knew this, she said to the nobles. You tried to frame him. The nobles stiffened, but the evidence was clear. The people's whispers grew louder, their eyes turning against the council. The head noble raised his voice in desperation. Even if it is true, even if the weapon is not his presence brings danger. The outside tribes attack now because he is here. But the queen stood tall, her blush glowing warmly as she placed her hand on Aaron's shoulder. No. They attack because of your lies and fear. Aaron is not the cause. He is the shield that will help us face what comes. The people erupted in cheers, their voices drowning the nobles' protests. For the first time, Aaron saw their suspicion turn into trust. They no longer saw him as a stranger, but as someone willing to defend their world with honesty. The queen looked at him, her expression soft. You have passed the trial of trust, Aaron. You stand not as a guest, but as a protector of my people. Aaron felt relief wash over him, but also the weight of responsibility. He had not asked to be part of their struggles, yet now he was bound to them. The queen's glowing blush told him she believed in him fully. And though danger still lingered beyond the city, Aaron knew he could not turn away. For in this trial, he had not only gained the trust of her people, but also something far deeper, a bond with the queen that no lie could break. The days after the trial were filled with both relief and tension. The people now trusted Aaron more, but the nobles were humiliated. Their plan to frame him had failed, yet they did not stop moving in the shadows. Aaron could feel their resentment like a storm waiting to break. One evening, as the queen and Aaron stood on a high balcony overlooking the glowing city, a messenger rushed in. His robes were torn, his breath heavy with fear. "My queen," he cried, "the tribes beyond the borders are marching. They come with weapons of light, stronger than anything we have seen. The nobles have joined them. They mean to take the city." The queen's glow dimmed for a moment, then steadied with resolve. "They would betray their own people to gain power," she whispered. She turned to Aaron, her eyes glowing fiercely. "This is what they feared. Now it has come. We must stand together." Aaron's heart pounded, but his voice was steady. "Then we prepare. If they come with force, we answer with unity." That night, the city was alive with activity. Warriors gathered under the crystal towers, their armor glowing faintly. Citizens brought supplies, while children carried messages through the streets. The queen stood among her people, not apart from them, her presence filling them with courage. Aaron walked at her side, feeling the weight of every gaze. He was no longer just a visitor. He was part of their defense. Before dawn, the enemy arrived. From the horizon came a wave of figures, their weapons glowing with stolen energy. At their front rode the nobles, their robes darkened, their faces twisted with pride. Behind them marched the allied tribe, fierce and hungry for conquest. The queen raised her staff high, and her voice rang out across the field. "This city is our heart. We will not surrender it to fear and betrayal. Stand firm, my people. Today we fight not only for the palace, but for the light of our future." Her people cheered, their voices carrying strength. Aaron stepped forward beside her. "Listen to me," he called. "I have fought battles before, and I know what courage means. You are stronger than you believe. Do not fear their weapons. Stand together, and you cannot fall." The battle began with a roar. The enemy surged forward, their weapons blazing. The crystal towers lit up as the defenders fought back, their energy shields glowing brightly. Aaron moved quickly, shouting instructions, helping the warriors form lines and defend their weak points. Human strategy mixed with alien strength, creating a defense that surprised the invaders. The queen fought on the front lines, her staff glowing with power. She moved with grace and strength, striking down attackers and lifting her people's spirits with every blow. Aaron stayed close, using quick thinking and bold plans to outmaneuver the enemy. At one point, he saw a group of invaders breaking through the left flank. Without hesitation, he led a small band of warriors to cut them off, using speed and surprise to push them back. The enemy was strong, but the defenders did not falter. The people of the city fought not just for survival but for their queen, for their home, and for the hope that Aaron had brought. Each time the defenders began to waver, Aaron's voice called them back to courage. Each time the queen's glow dimmed, Aaron's presence beside her gave her strength. Hours passed, and the battle raged across the crystal fields. Finally, the enemy began to falter. The nobles, seeing their power slipping, tried one last desperate attack. They rushed toward the queen, their weapons raised. Aaron moved quickly, stepping in front of her. The clash was fierce, but together, Aaron and the queen fought as one. His quick reflexes and her powerful strikes turned the tide. One by one, the nobles fell, their betrayal ending in silence. The allied tribe, seeing their leaders defeated, began to retreat. The defenders pressed forward, driving them back beyond the borders. As the sun rose, the field grew quiet. The city still stood, shining brightly against the horizon. The people cheered, their voices echoing through the towers. The queen stood tall, her robe torn, her glow faint but proud. She looked at Aaron, her eyes softening, her blush returning in the morning light. "You saved us," she said gently. Aaron shook his head. "We saved each other. Your people fought with courage. All I did was help them see what was already there." The queen smiled warmly. "Perhaps. But without you, unity might have broken. You reminded us of who we are." The people gathered around, raising their voices in gratitude. They no longer looked at Aaron as a stranger. To them, he was one of their own, a protector who had stood beside their queen in their darkest hour. That night, the city celebrated with music and light. The battle was over, and peace had returned, but Aaron knew this was not the end. His bond with the queen was stronger than ever, and the path ahead was no longer just about exploration. It was about belonging, about standing together in a future where human and alien could share the same hope. And as the queen stood beside him, her blush glowing softly under the lights of the crystal towers, Aaron felt for the first time that he had truly found a place among the stars. The city shone brighter than ever. After the battle, the crystal towers glimmered with fresh light, as if the world itself wanted to celebrate the victory of unity. Songs filled the air, and laughter echoed in the streets. For the first time in many years, the people felt safe, proud, and hopeful. Aaron stood at the balcony of the great palace, looking out at the celebrations below. Lanterns floated through the sky, drifting like small stars. He could hear the voices of children running through the streets and the strong chants of warriors raising their banners. It was a sight unlike anything he had ever seen on earth, and yet it felt strangely familiar. The queen stepped beside him, her robe repaired, her crown glowing faintly. Her eyes turned toward the people, then back to him. A gentle smile spread across her face, and her cheeks warmed with the same blush that had first surprised him on the day they met. "They cheer for you," she said softly. Aaron shook his head. "No. They cheer for all of us. For you, for your people, for their strength. I only played a small part." The queen tilted her head, her glow shining brighter. "You give too little credit to yourself, Aaron. You stood with us when we were divided. You gave us hope when fear tried to steal it. Without you, we might have fallen apart. Tonight, we stand as one because of you." Her words touched him deeply, though he felt unworthy of such praise. He looked at the city again, the joy rising like music, and felt something stir within him. He had come to this planet as an explorer, only hoping to record its wonders. Now, he was part of its story. Later that evening, a grand gathering was held in the palace hall. The warriors entered first, followed by the citizens, and at last the queen herself. Aaron walked beside her, though he still felt unsure of his place in such a formal moment. The hall was filled with light, and the air carried the sound of instruments unlike any on earth, creating music both powerful and soothing. The queen raised her staff, and silence fell across the hall. Her voice carried strong, yet kind. "My people," she began, "today we stand not only as survivors, but as victors. We faced betrayal, we faced invasion, and yet we did not break. We stood together, as one city, as one kingdom. And we were not alone. With us stood Aaron, a traveler from a faraway world. He fought beside us, he guided us, and he shared our burden. He is no longer a visitor. He is one of us." The hall filled with cheers. People raised their hands high, chanting Aaron's name. He felt his chest tighten with emotion. Never before had he been welcomed with such warmth. On Earth, he had always been just another explorer. Here, he was something more. The queen turned to him, her eyes glowing with a gentle light. Aaron, you came from another world, but your heart beat with ours. You showed us that differences do not divide. They can unite. For this, you will always have a place here, not only as a protector but as a friend of the crown. Her words left Aaron speechless. He bowed his head, trying to steady his emotions. It is I who should thank you, he said quietly. You welcomed me when I was a stranger. You trusted me when others doubted. You gave me something I never thought I would find among the stars, a home. The queen's blush deepened, though her expression was calm. Then let this be your home, she whispered. The celebration continued late into the night. Dancers moved across the hall, their steps graceful, their robes shining. Food and drink were shared freely, and music rose high into the air. Aaron joined the people, speaking with them, laughing with them, and feeling the bond grow stronger with each moment. As the night drew quiet, Aaron found himself once again on the palace balcony. The queen joined him, standing close but silent. Together, they looked out at the city. The stars above seemed brighter, as if Earth and this alien world were no longer so far apart. After a long silence, the queen spoke softly. Your journey began as an explorer, but now you are something greater. You are part of our story, just as we are now part of yours. Wherever your people may be, remember that here, you are not alone. Aaron felt a calm warmth in his heart. He knew she was right. His life had changed forever. He was not just a visitor, not just a traveler among the stars. He had become a bridge between worlds, a symbol of what could happen when fear gave way to trust, when strangers chose to stand side by side. The queen looked at him, her eyes shining like the crystal towers. A bond beyond worlds, she said gently. That is what we share now. Aaron smiled, and for the first time, he felt no distance between Earth and this world. He belonged here, with these people, with this queen who had once blushed at his sight and now welcomed him not only warmly, but openly. As the dawn rose beyond the horizon, the city sparkled with light. The people would rebuild, the kingdom would grow stronger, and Aaron would walk forward not as a guest but as family. Together, human and alien had forged something rare and powerful, hope that would last for generations. And under the new sun, Aaron knew that this was not the end of his journey. It was the beginning of a future where worlds were no longer separated, but bound together by trust, courage, and friendship.